Hi, welcome everyone. We're just letting people in, and so we plan to start the meeting in just a few minutes once it starts slowing down on the number of people that we're letting in. I'm pleased to say that we've got the High Commissioner with us, and then we will also be joined by Julian Robinson, MP. He's a member of Parliament and his constituency is that of South East St Andrews in Jamaica. So bear with us for a few minutes while we just let everybody in. Thank you. Okay, we're going to start the meeting. Thank you everyone for joining today. I know this is a very worrying time for everyone and us all. We're going to try and give as much information as we can and then take some questions at the end of today's meetings. I'm very pleased that High Commissioner Alexander Williams is able to join us today to give us an update from the Jamaican High Commission. Alexander Williams was appointed as Jamaica's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom in October 2023. And I'm going to start with the High Commissioner and then we'll go to Julian Robinson MP and then we'll take questions and answers after that. High Commissioner, thank you for joining. Over to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Good evening, friends, colleagues, and members of the Jamaican diaspora here in Brent. Let me begin by expressing heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Dawn Butler, Member of Parliament, for convening this timely town hall meeting. Your unwavering support for the Jamaican community, both here in the UK and back home, is deeply appreciated. We gather tonight in the shadow of an immense loss. Hurricane Melissa, one of the most powerful storms to strike our island in nearly a century, which made landfall on the 28th of October as a Category 5 hurricane, tore through the island. Let me just say it that way, going at 185 miles per hour. Sadly, as of Tuesday, the official death toll in Jamaica stands at 32 confirmed lives lost, with 8 additional fatalities under investigation. We mourn its soul and extend our deepest condolences to grieving families. So let us hold space for their sorrow and honor their memory. In response, the government of Jamaica has mobilized a coordinated national relief effort. Aid workers and volunteers have been distributing food, water, and medical supplies to affected communities, many of which remain isolated due to damaged infrastructure. Over 60% of the island experienced shortages, and nearly half of our water systems were disrupted. So the road to recovery will be long, but we are resilient. I should indicate that physical damage to buildings, telecommunications, and infrastructure, there is a very rough preliminary estimate of 6 to 7 billion US dollars. Now, this is a very rough preliminary estimate. 40% of the island has been impacted economically. Over 151 roads were impacted island-wide, and I could go on. So the damage that has taken place, particularly to the 6 parishes, notably being St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, has in large measure been catastrophic. So having said all of that, I'm going to direct persons to a particular website, supportjamaica.gov.jm. And let me repeat, supportjamaica.gov.jm and no other website. There you will find the national needs list, guidance on making secure financial donations, and opportunities to volunteer. The site also has a list of reputable charities: Food for the Poor, the Salvation Army, American Friends of Jamaica, the Jane Foundation, and the Jamaica Red Cross. We are grateful for the international solidarity shown from countries across the globe, including the United Kingdom and many of you here tonight. Diaspora organizations have already begun fundraising, and we welcome your continued support. Every contribution, whether financial, logistical, or emotional, helps rebuild lives and restore hope. Friends, we must be clear-eyed. The road to recovery will not be swift. Rebuilding homes, restoring livelihoods, and healing communities, physically and emotionally, will take time, but Jamaicans we are no strangers to adversity. With unity, resilience, and the steadfast support of our diaspora, we will rise again, stronger and more connected than before. So let me close by reaffirming this. Jamaica is strong because Jamaicans are strong. Whether in Clarendon or Brent, Kingston or Kilburn, we are bound by a spirit of unity and love. Let us continue to stand together, uplift one another, and honor those who we have lost by building a future worthy of their legacy. So thank you very much, one and all.
Thank you, High Commissioner, for that background and update. Very sorry to hear about the rise in the death toll in Jamaica. Can I just start off? I'm still waiting for Julian to join. Can I ask you in the meantime, has the Jamaican government been able to get to all parts of Jamaica?
No, the short answer is no. Whilst we've been able to get to most of the larger communities, ODPEM, the soldiers and rescue workers underground, they have not yet been able to get into every single nook and cranny. But that is changing as we speak.
Thank you. Can I ask people to put their questions in the Q&A, please? And then I can get those questions to the High Commissioner as we go along. High Commissioner, there was a number of questions around the roads in Jamaica as well.
Yes.
Is there any update on that, please?
Well, I believe a third of the affected roads, with 151 roads, and about a third of the roads have been cleared and reopened. And this is as of yesterday. So 1/3 of the affected roads have been reopened.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for the questions to come through on the Q&A. From E. Anise, do you know if the A2 leading to Santa Cruz to Lacovia has been unblocked?
I can't speak to a specific road. I only have the amount of roads, but I can't speak to a specific road if that particular road has been cleared.
Great. Thank you, High Commissioner. I think so. They want to have a list of all the organizations the High Commissioner mentioned. We will put that list. I think there's a list on the High Commissioner's website. There's a list on the Jamaica website, and there'll also be a list on my website. So we can put all of those things on the list.
And let me reiterate, Dawn, that all people need to do is to go to supportjamaica.gov.jm. All the information is on that website, including the list of charities that ODPEM is working with.
Thank you. Somebody said they're hosting a fundraising event next week for Jamaica. What's the most urgent points? I think the urgent points will be to, as you say, to go onto the website and then it will tell you the needs as well that people need, and also the drop-off points where people
Yes.
can drop off goods for people.
So
Uh,
if I might,
mhm.
if you go to our Instagram page, as well as our website, the High Commission website, jhcuk.org, you will see the drop-off points indicated there, um, across the United Kingdom. So all that information is posted, and of course, we could only accept items that have been itemized in the needs list, which you will find at the Support Jamaica website.
Wonderful. Thank you, High Commissioner. Julian is with us now. I'm going to unmute Julian so he can contribute, because I think before you go, High Commissioner, it would be good to hear Julian's response. Julian, you may have to unmute yourself, I've been told. There's a question here about repair grants. Are there any repair grants available for people in Jamaica?
You mean grants to persons to repair their homes?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I'm not aware if that is as yet in place. What I'm aware of is that funds are being made available to members of parliament to assist in relief. I think 1 million for some parishes and 1.5, sorry, 1 million for some constituencies, 1.5, and this is Jamaican, 1.5 million, which isn't a relief grant for repairs to homes. The National Housing Trust
Alex,
is
can I
is
just stop you there,
Great.
Alex?
Julian's unmuted.
Sorry, there was
Thanks. We'll
good
spotlight you,
afternoon,
Julian.
everybody.
Okay. Good afternoon.
There was in the session we had in Parliament, the Prime Minister made some announcements. The most affected constituencies will get 10 million for grants, but let me just kind of set expectations so people don't think it's not a lot of money in the context of thousands of people who would have lost roofs. So, for example, somebody might be allocated $20,000 or $30,000 to buy some zinc or stuff. So the most affected constituencies were allocated 10 million. And so that would be Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. Then there's a second tier set of parishes, which would include Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Those people got 5 million. And then the third tier, which would include people in the corporate area like myself, we got 3 million. But again, just to manage expectations, where you have thousands of people who have been affected, it's not going to be a lot that a member of parliament would be in a position to provide to any one individual. All right, so nobody should have an expectation that this will allow them to build back their house. No, it may be, you may be able to buy some zinc, some lard, some two before, something like that. But that is what is available as of an announcement that was made in Parliament by the Prime Minister yesterday evening.
Thank you, Julian. Sorry, the bell's going. Julian, can you give us just some background of what it's been like and where you are at the moment, please?
I'm in the corporate area, and the corporate area has by and large been spared. That's Kingston, St. Andrew, most of St. Catherine. The areas that are most in need, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, because the eye of the hurricane landed in New Hope, Westmoreland, went across Westmoreland, St. James, and exited through Trelawney. So, I mean, really what those of us who have not been affected are doing, we are trying to mobilize support for those who have been affected. And in fact, when you had reached out to me, I was on the road trying to get some supplies because I'm heading down tomorrow to Westmoreland to try and bring down as much stuff as possible. So if I can categorize where we are, we're still in the relief part phase of the operation, because there are about 20 odd communities that are marooned, of which there is no access to at this point in time. And no access means their roads are not cleared yet, etc. there's been relief coming in from both the government and also a number of aid agencies. There have been airdrops with the JDF, plus the US has supported with Chinook helicopters for areas which are remote. So I would say food is getting in, although there are still places that food has not gotten into, but food is getting in. Roads are being reopened, and there's I think the NWA has put out on their social media pages the list of roads as they become open. So I know I saw a list this morning, which I don't know if other people have seen, of new openings of roads. So that is being done on a consistent basis. So what I would say to folks is, I mean, yes, contribute. There's going to be a need right now for food, water for many people. And then, once we get through this phase, the rebuilding phase. And even if the government contributes, as I said, the government is not going to be able to build back everybody's house. So, where people can support with the rebuilding phase, there's also a need to deal with relocation of students, because there are students who schools are not going to get back in the short term. And if people have relatives in areas where they can take in people and get them in schools in other areas, that's also a need. So, and the needs we're talking about are not going to be a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week thing. This process is going to be weeks, months, and years to rebuild and get us back to where we were before. So, there are a lot of needs that, my own view is that this is the, if we categorize it since independence, this is going to be our greatest challenge as a country since we have been independent. Just in terms of numbers, the preliminary estimates, the Prime Minister announced 6 to 7 billion US, which is 1 trillion Jamaican dollars, preliminary. And that's within the context of our national budget, which is 1.3 trillion. And I expect that figure to grow. We're going to have, they have estimated that the economy has declined by about 13%, and that will continue because tourism is down in the areas that were affected, other businesses are affected. So, the hit to Jamaica is the greatest we have received. No other natural disaster has had this impact on Jamaica ever. So we will need all the support for an extended period of time, not just in days or weeks, but months and years.
Yeah.
If I
I know that you have, Hi, Commissioner.
If I might, Don, just to say that welcome, Julian. Nice to see you.
Alex.
Good. So just to, if I need to leave in like momentarily, I might take a question before I leave. If there's any particular question that I could take.
There was a question on mental health directed at you, I think, High Commissioner. There's quite a number of questions going through. And I know that Tessa had a question. You want to unmute?
Well, let me say this. Let me just say this. I've had a town hall meeting. When was this though? Tuesday. Today's what again? No, remind me. Today's Wednesday. On Monday, I had a town hall meeting. The intention is to have another town hall meeting, a virtual town hall meeting next Wednesday, and make it weekly going afterwards, in which all these questions that I'm not able to answer right now, I'll be able to address them in a more fulsome way in our town hall meeting. So watch YouTube, etc., on our website for that as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, that I think that's good to have that ongoing dialogue. I think especially as this isn't just a one-off. I also feel that we may need to set something up for people who maybe want to make a sort of monthly donation.
Support Jamaica.gov.jm. So let me repeat it. Support Jamaica.gov.jm. No other variation, no other website, no other source. That is where you must make your secure donation. All right? That's what I want people to take away with. A lot of questions are answered once you go on that website.
Wonderful.
So, members of Parliament, Dawn and Julian Robinson, please forgive me. I am a bat out of hell right now. Sorry to say it that way. I have a hard stop right now to get to another meeting. But wonderful to be here. Wonderful to have been able to participate.
Thank you very much, High Commissioner. Speak to you soon.
Alex.
All right. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Julian, so I'm going to get the questions direct.
I'm going to answer on the issue of the mental health. What I would say, it's a huge need, and if there are professionals who are in a position that they could come and volunteer, it's a huge need. I mean, you have to appreciate that, you know, people were in their homes when their roofs were lifted off by 185 miles per hour wind. People thought they were going to die. You know, it's not dissimilar to people who go to war and experience life-threatening type of scenarios. So a lot of people went through that. So I mean, in short, I would say there's going to be a strong need for mental health support for persons, for the children in particular who experience this, and just, you know, people who would have lost loved ones. You know, one of the challenges we have had is access in many areas. There are bodies that have not been recovered yet. There are people who have had to bury relatives just there because the morgues are, they don't have electricity, so they can't store bodies. So, I mean, the long and short of what I'm saying is that there's going to be a need for mental health support for some time to come.
Okay. And so would you recommend people go through to the website as well? I think there's a page there for people who want to contribute to say what their skills are.
Yes, I think that's important too. And I mean, you know, you obviously have to have some credentials which will show that you have expertise in this area. We have a lot of people coming in, but, you know, the government has to verify that the support, whether it's a medical doctor or somebody who has mental health expertise, that you can demonstrate that as well.
Great, thank you. I think, Tessa, you unmuted. You had a quick question.
Hello, Dawn. It's Tessa Sanderson speaking here. I'm with my husband as well, Denzine. And thank you for doing this, and to the High Commissioner. But as you know, I mean, I was born in St. Elizabeth anyway, and been here living for a long time. It took me about 5 days to find my mum, you know, and luckily she was somewhere that she was safe now and being sheltered by her family. But there's a couple of things really that has been bothering me, and I've been looking at my husband will ask another one. First, for you, Dawn, really, is anyone planning from the government here or whoever to visit out those devastated sites that we've been seeing on here, because we're all trying to sort of contribute, trying to do things to make sure that it happens, that it gets to the right places. But is there anyone from, you know, either the DP here, you know, either vet, is there anyone from the government just going out, looking at these areas that's devastated out there so they can report back?
All right, thanks, Tessa. Julian, I think the UK government and the Jamaican government have been working closely together.
Yes, they have been.
There's some other questions as well about reaching areas that haven't yet been reached. Are you able to answer that?
Well, what I would say, I heard Tessa's question. I wouldn't say that the number one priority is necessarily for, you know, an official from the UK to come out and look. I think what we need is support to move people, to get to people. I think there's going to be a need after we have dealt with rescue and relief to understand the scope of the rebuilding exercise. But I would say no, the priority in terms of the days that we are in, and you have to count it by hours and days, is to try to get to those maroon communities and to ensure that relief supplies get to people. So what I would say to Tessa is I don't think now would be the time for an official to come out. But I would say once we have dealt with getting to everybody and done the initial relief, then there's going to be a need to understand for example, the scope of rebuilding for schools, right? That's important. How are children who are doing external exams going to manage having missed school? There are schools that have been totally destroyed. So there is going to be that need for support. But the immediate is just to get to people and get relief. And, I think we have a lot of aid coming in. There's probably need for stronger coordination. And I think the government is working on that so that it gets to all the people who are in need.
Great. Thank you, Julian. There's some questions that I'm going to ask from the Q&A. What mechanism exists for monitoring the use of diaspora contributions?
It's a little difficult for me to answer that. And I think, Don, you need to qualify that. While I'm a member of parliament, I'm on the opposition side. So I'm not necessarily, I can't speak definitively on behalf of the government on all of these issues. I can't.
I can write to them and
what I would expect is that as donations come in through the website, that there is some recording and an update provided on a periodic basis, that we have raised X million or whatever, and this is how the money will be used. That's my expectation of what would happen or should happen.
Okay, so there'll be it should be accountable. I think there's somebody that's got, I think, connections with a construction company, and they've got partners. Again, I think on the official website, there's a portal where people can put on there what skills they have.
Yes.
Is there any other place do you think people should, or they should just stick to the official website, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of there are groups, there are other charities that are doing different things. And I mean, some people may want to, what I would say is ensure that the official website is the safest way. There are some people who may want to give to a specific parish or something like that. Just ensure that wherever you're giving, that you verify before you give, because once the official site went up, there were about 28 different websites which were designed to defraud people. So I just want to urge real strong caution. If people are choosing to support a charity outside of the official website, make sure you verify that it is a bona fide organization.
Yeah, that's the thing at the moment. Thank you. Somebody said that the friend was going to send a barrel to Jamaica, but she's been told not to do so because people are being robbed of their goods. I suppose it's a desperate situation. She said, is this true?
All right, so there have been, I think, 1 or 2 incidents where people have been traveling down from Kingston with supplies. I know of 1 incident, but I can equally say I know of scores of other people who have gone into my wife went to Westmoreland, St. James yesterday. I am going tomorrow. People have gone without a problem. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged by 1 incident that took place. If you want to send barrels, send the barrels, absolutely. And, there is a need. There's going to be a need for some time to come, because in addition to the immediate relief, many of the persons who were in the most affected parishes, businesses have closed. They have lost jobs. They won't have income for a while. So, families are going to need support in the short term to medium term. So to the extent that people can do it, send it. Don't be deterred by that.
Wonderful, thank you. I think you mentioned this earlier, but is there a clear dashboard for roads and water, electricity? Because somebody's also said, when will the power come back in Mandeville? So can people go somewhere and just see what's happening where?
All right, so JPS, I think on their social media pages, provides a daily update to tell you where they are with restoration in various areas. So my recollection, I think, up to yesterday, they had restored. So the approach they have taken, just so I can clarify, they have dealt with restoration in the least affected parishes first. So, for example, in the corporate area, and corporate area means Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Portmore, where there was minor damage. I think they have restored up to 95% of those customers. Now, when they go to the most affected parishes, it's a lot more difficult because you're not just dealing with a blown fuse or a blown transformer. You're dealing with your entire network, which has been destroyed, and they have to rebuild. So it is going to be, I can't give you a time frame for Mandeville, but I know they've been providing daily updates on their social media pages. So I would encourage people to go to the JPS page. The Water Commission also provides updates. Flow and Digicel are also providing updates. And I know the NWA is also providing an update on roads which have been cleared. So even, I don't know if the website has links to all of these, but I can say for sure their social media pages are updated on a daily basis.
Thank you. Question about people in the disaster area and hotels. Is there a plan to move people into hotels for temporary shelter?
I don't think so, because you have to remember that two things. One, many of the hotels in the affected areas were also damaged, right? And they have to undertake repairs because it is important for there to be quick resumption of economic activity. So the government has some designated shelters, which are generally community centers and schools. So the short answer is no, I don't think they're going to be moving people into hotels at this stage, because the hotels themselves, we are in November, the peak of our tourism season is in December, and the hotels have to try and get restarted. Now, the reason that's important is many of the same people who have been affected work at the hotels and depend on the tourism industry for their livelihood. So it is very important that, you know, economic activity restart in as short a period as possible. Now, how we treat with temporary housing, I don't know that we have definitive answers on that yet. Whether there's going to be temporary housing established in some of these areas, I don't know. I can't give a definitive answer on that yet.
Okay. Somebody's concerned about family in Smithville, Clarendon, which is difficult to navigate at the best of times. Any news if any relief efforts have gone there?
I can't say definitively. I'm not sure where. I'm a Kingston and St. Andrew person. Now, there are areas in Clarendon that have been affected. I know in the hills in northern Clarendon, places are still maroon, so I can't definitively say what the situation is there. I wouldn't be able to say that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Somebody's again asked, there is a link to the website in the chat already for the person that's asking. Who's coordinating the relief efforts here in the UK? There's a number of them. Jamaica National, if you go onto their website, they've got links there. There's rehousing. You've any news for, I know we've done that one.
I saw Sheffield. I know my wife went to Sheffield yesterday. Sheffield is fine from all accounts. I just saw a question there. There's no issue in Sheffield from what I know, for somebody who went there yesterday. In terms of Westmoreland, the hardest hit parish is East Westmoreland, which is Whitehouse, Darlaston, and then Central Westmoreland, which would include Sablamar and those communities. West Westmoreland has not been as badly affected as other areas. Hanover has been, and parts of St. James and Trelawney. But the question I saw about Sheffield, the person can be assured that Sheffield hasn't been hit badly.
Thank you. And is there a place in each parish that is safe, where people can tell loved ones to go there to get help?
So what the government has been doing is airdropping assistance with the helicopters to places that are difficult to reach by road. So for example, I know in Sablamar, there were 2 airdrops yesterday with helicopters, and I know they're trying to get to the areas that they have not accessed yet, because not everywhere is accessible by road. So once they can identify a field that a helicopter can land on, they've been sending the aid via helicopter.
Great, thank you. Somebody has property in Mandeville. Should they continue to pay the monthly flow bill and also other bills?
Yeah, they should. I mean, I expect that at some point they're going to be restored. I mean, I don't know if the companies will give somewhat of a rebate or apply, you know, a discount or whatever, but yes, they should continue to pay it.
Wonderful. How can the diaspora members with empty or vacant properties support the relief efforts as it relates to providing shelter and accommodation?
Well, if people have properties, so there are two levels. One, there's a need. There are a lot of volunteers who are here in Jamaica from different organizations who are looking for accommodation closer to where the problems exist. Many of them came into Kingston because Norman Manley Airport reopened quicker than Sandster. But, you know, so one is that. But secondly, as I said, if there's accommodation and you have relatives who have been badly affected and you can open up your home to them in the short term, please do so. I mean, obviously you want to be assured that your place is going to be maintained and kept okay, but you know, the reality for people who have lost everything is that they need shelter in the short term. So my answer to that question is, I mean, I know there are two levels of properties. People who probably have it for Airbnb and people who also just have property which they use when they come to Jamaica. If they can find responsible people who will maintain their place properly, yes, they should do so.
Right. I'm reading out the question rather than taking questions so that I can get through as many as possible. That's why. So please write your questions in the chat. Please let us know the state of the infrastructure for receiving and processing barrels and packages to individuals, e.g. directly to family members in towns and villages. So is it the same as it always is?
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, yeah, the same process that would exist before. You know, you send your barrel and the person comes and clears it, or they get somebody to clear it on their behalf. There's nothing different about the process. Now, the government has introduced a waiver for people who are bringing in hurricane relief supplies where there'll be no GCT or customs on it. So, you know, for example, if you want to send stuff to people, you can do so and not worry about those additional charges up until the end of December.
Okay, that was one of the other questions. That's great. For those wanting to travel to Jamaica and bring supplies, do you know if there have been discussions with the airlines to increase the luggage allowance?
I don't think so. I'm not aware, but I don't think so at this stage. You know, I mean, if you're bringing large scale stuff, you probably will have to send it, you know, kind of via commercial needs. Yeah, yeah.
I can maybe also write to the airlines to see whether they will be a little bit more flexible.
Flexible, yeah. I think you could, like with British Airways, that services directly, or Virgin, I think you could reach out from your end and see if they will provide some kind of discount, you know.
Yeah. If you want to offer relief work in Jamaica, do you have to pay for the flight?
Yes, you would at this stage, yes. I mean, if you're volunteering, yes, you would. I mean, again, I mean, just to qualify, I'm not a government official, but I mean, given all the challenges the government has, I can't see the government being in a position to pay for volunteers to come to Jamaica to support the effort. Okay. So you would have to be responsible for your flight and accommodation when you get here, yeah.
Okay, somebody said the school should focus on online lectures and teaching.
Well, the problem is they can't, because remember, people don't have electricity, they don't have telecoms, they don't have houses. So the online is just not going to work in the most affected areas. I mean, again, just to put it grimly, there are entire communities where every single house lost their roof, where people are homeless. So, you know, online is just not going to be an option for the most affected areas at this point in time.
how is it that media can get to these nook and cranny and the disaster relief team cannot?
That's a fair question, and it has been a frustration for many of the residents that it has taken a long time. I think, with efforts are being made to clear roads and get stuff into some of those maroon communities, but it continues to be a frustration for those who are affected. But I know efforts are being made in that regard.
Right. There is a concern, as a former British Met police officer, received concerns of British relatives of security for those who are protecting what's left of their properties and personal possessions.
That's also an issue. I believe both the JDF, the soldiers, and the army are going to be deployed into communities where there are security risks, meaning that if a house, if the roof is gone there, then the place is exposed. Some people may take advantage of those circumstances. So what I expect is that there will be, in particular areas where those kinds of issues exist, that there will be a strong deployment of the security forces to protect that kind of situation.
Okay, somebody's asked about fundraising events of the High Commissioner. Is there direct input from the professional bodies such as Jamaican Association of Social Workers in relation to the humanitarian and psychological support?
Well, I think, again, I think if there are persons who are in a position to volunteer and can come, and again, I said, I don't think government will be able to pay for people to come, then, I think that kind of assistance is absolutely needed. Absolutely needed.
There's a question on international support. I was just wondering, Julian, who's supported Jamaica the most? It's quite an interesting question, really. Other countries.
I mean, the US has provided monetary plus equipment. They helped the Chinook helicopters. I'm told 9 of those came. There have been a lot of aid planes that have brought in stuff. There have been medical missions. There have been people doing water purification. I wouldn't be able to say specifically who did the most, but I would say Jamaica has received a lot of assistance from all over the world. And that's a very positive thing. From many, many countries, we have gotten aid.
Right. And when aid arrives, like in barrels, and there's some that's been left the UK to go to Jamaica, how are they deciding where it's distributed?
So if it is sent to the government, then the government has a warehouse, which is managed. They are trying to get the supplies to the places that are most affected. So, and the 5 parishes, which are St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, I would say Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth are the 2 most affected. The others are affected, but not as bad. And so all the efforts are trying to get to people who would have been the most affected there.
Right. Wonderful. Julian, you've been amazing. I'm just looking at if there's any, do we have a plan to move students to CARICOM countries to prevent severe disruption in education?
I don't think so. I think the first protocol would be if people can be relocated within, if they have relatives, for example, in the corporate area. And I give an example of a lady in my constituency who has taken 6 of her relatives from Westmoreland, and now she's trying to find schools for the kids. So I don't think, sending them to a different country, I don't think that's going to be a feasible option. What's more feasible is identifying within the country where they could go so that they can continue their education.
Right. How are the hospitals coping?
So we have had, Black River Hospital completely destroyed, Sab Hospital significantly destroyed, Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover significantly destroyed. They opened up a field hospital in Black River, and the plan is to do field hospitals in the areas where the physical plant has been badly affected. So I expect the same in Sav and also in Hanover. field hospitals will be set up.
Okay, great. And Julian, what are the most urgent needs somebody has said on the ground?
People still need food. I mean, when you messaged me earlier, I was in PriceMart buying food supplies because I'm personally driving down to Westmoreland tomorrow morning at 6. Food is still a big one. Secondly, people need generators because resumption of electricity will take some time. Starlink is a good option. So, to the extent that, if you can not send a generator, but if you have resources that people can provide in a community, you get a generator, you get Starlink, then it at least gets them connected and they can have, connectivity and electricity. Those are big needs, but food, water is still a big issue 7 days after the storm. Yeah.
Wow. Julian, thank you so much. I know there has been some hands up. It's a bit risky. If I can ask people to just do a quick sort of 60-second question, if you can. I'm going to see if this works for the last 5 minutes. Can you unmute Debbie? Thanks. I'm just going to take these last two, Debbie and Janet. Yeah. Debbie, you could unmute yourself. Okay, no. Janet, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
okay.
you, Dawn. Thanks very much for taking my question. So naturally, I'm a midwife, so naturally my concerns are pregnant women and young babies, the delivery of, imminent deliveries and post-delivery care. We have a charity, Elite Midwifery Services, and we are planning to do a 12-month program in Jamaica. But we need, as registered midwives, obstetricians, health visitors, etc., we still have accountability, and we really just wanted to find out what the criteria would be for us to sort of register on the ground in Jamaica.
Okay, thank you.
Prior to us getting there, actually, because we're organizing supplies and things from quite large companies. What would we need to do?
So I think the Ministry of Health has been receiving a number of medical missions, but it's very important that whoever is coming has their credentials. So, for example, if you say you're a midwife, you need to have, some documentation that shows that you're a midwife. You can't just say I'm a midwife and I've worked here, there, or everywhere. So whoever is coming as professionals would need to have the documentation of their professional certifications.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And Janet, you've got the last question. You can unmute. No. Okay. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do is we will do a summary of this Q&A. Now. Okay. You've got 60 seconds.
Yeah, 60 seconds. Quick one. So look, my concern is people sleeping outside in the elements. I know that people are sleeping outside in the elements in Jamaica because their entire house has been flattened, right? It's all over YouTube. You can see it. I'm just concerned why the government hasn't put up tents or get tents for people to sleep under in the middle of the night. There's nowhere for people to sleep.
All right. Thank you, Janet.
Good question. Again, I'm not the government representative here, and that question has been asked. And the only thing I can say, I believe attempts are being made to try and deal with that, because you are correct. There are entire communities where every house has been destroyed. And yeah, and like as of this morning, rain started, certainly in the corporate area. There may be rain out in the west. So it is, a very difficult situation. So I'm hoping that we will see some of those things in the short term.
Wonderful. And if people, there's a question here that was they're worried about their parents and will put them up in a hotel. They just need someone to check for them. I know there's some some lines of communication that people are doing through Instagram, but is there an official way if somebody's, I know that there's a missing portal if somebody's missing, but is there an official way that somebody can get somebody else to check on somebody for them?
I don't know if there's an official way. I'm not sure if the support gov.gm has that. I mean, what I've seen is more informal, people are trying to find people in communities close to where their relatives are so they can touch base. I'm not sure that there is a formal system in place. I don't think so.
Wow. Well, Julian, thank you. I know that you haven't had much sleep and you are just working right.
I mean, I'm fortunate, Dawn. I mean, as I said, personally, I wasn't affected. My constituency hasn't been badly affected, but I'm trying to assist the areas that have been most affected. So, that's what many of us are focused on right now.
Thank you. There are Q&As on the High Commission website and on the UK government website as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. God bless you and your families, and Jamaica will come through this, and we will have another meeting maybe in 2 weeks' time, just the update, and to find out how we can sort of make monthly contributions. Julian Robinson, MP, thank you very much. Appreciate your time
Thank you, Dawn.
today.
And thank you for hosting this. And I just want to emphasize to people that this is a long-term undertaking. I mean, don't worry about if you are not able to do something today or tomorrow. The rebuilding process is going to take months and years. So you will all definitely have an opportunity to contribute.
Thank you, everyone. God bless. Good night.
All right. Take care.
Stay safe. Bye. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.